Welcome back to Brazil Crypto Report. Today I'm joined by Sebastian Serrano, who is the CEO of Ripio, one of the largest crypto exchanges in Latin America. We talk about Argentina's ongoing inflation troubles, Javier Milei's surprise victory in the recent presidential election, and what a libertarian presidency means for Bitcoin and crypto adoption in the country. Great. So we are joined today by Sebastian Serrano, the CEO of Ripio. Sebastian, so great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So there's been a lot of talk around Argentina's new president, Javier Milei, who is a staunch libertarian, a staunch freedom advocate. He said some positive things about Bitcoin, and that has kind of gotten the Bitcoin and the crypto world very excited about his election. And I think there's some truths and some myths here associated with him. So we are going to dive into some of that with Sebastian. So I really appreciate you coming on the show here and helping us to sort of distinguish fact from fiction here. But before we dive into that, would you take a minute or two just to introduce yourself and Ripio?
Yep. So I'm Argentinian. I guess that's why I'm qualified to talk about this subject. I grew up in Patagonia, in the south of Argentina. I'm 40 years old and already seen like 3 major crises. I saw a hyperinflation when I was 8, and not fun. But and we're on the verge of another one. But maybe Milei will make it not happen. And very nerd. And early on in 2012, saw Bitcoin for the first time. Got really passionate about it. I saw it as I got really in love about the technology and the economics behind it. As an Argentinian, thought that wow, like this is an asset, a currency that you will know exactly how much it's gonna be. Like it has a defined monetary policy set in code, and that was really shocked me. And I got and by March 2013, I decided that we need to work on this. And on April, we started the company. So Ripio already has 10 years, and we kind of like the mission of the company is to accelerate the adoption of crypto across Latin America. We started from Argentina. We made the first wallet in the country, so you can buy and sell Bitcoin. At the beginning, it was only Bitcoin for Argentinian pesos, and then we grew across Latin America. Our main markets are Argentina and Brazil, but we also operate in Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay, Chile. Recently got authorized to operate in Spain, and so all Latin countries. And we right now, between retail and our corporate service, we reach over 10 million users across the region. So we're the largest platform in the region right now. So happy to dive into what all this means for Bitcoin in Argentina and Latam.
Amazing.
Yes.
So as an Argentinian, I guess Argentina, never know how to pronounce it properly, but I would love for you to get your perspective on just kind of helping us understand how we got to this point, and explain it to somebody like me who's okay. I'm a crypto stakeholder. I understand that that Argentina has had a long history of inflation and monetary policy problems. I understand that a lot of these problems have led to adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and stablecoins, both by entrepreneurs like yourself, but also by retail people. And then I understand that now there's kind of this like funny looking like Bitcoiner guy that's been elected president. So it's like obviously there's a lot more nuance to it than what I've described here. But help us just understand, like, from the Argentinian perspective, like what is actually going on here? Like, how did we get to this point?
So Argentina has been governed and ruled by a populist faction called Kirchnerismo, 16 years of the last 20. And they have run on an agenda with very large deficits and with growing the state and spending a lot more than that the government collects on taxes, and then with a view about like making an internal economy, closing the country from the world, and be with a very protective policy, that, and eventually not being very open to the global trade and the global economics, has made them to like lose, like the government lost like financing, like capital, global markets, capital access to get debt. So over the last, especially the last few years, the government has been relying on printing money indiscriminated to finance the deficit, and that has led to increasing inflation, to a snowball point. Inflation has been going up rapidly for the last 10 years, but we are getting to that point that you're very close to a hyperinflation. So if you take the last 3 months inflation rate and you analyze that, it's at 230% annual inflation. In the previous quarter, annualized was 150. So it's like in rapid growth, and that has to do with having a government that runs on very high deficits, and over the time, like in the country, there has started to be a growing criticism about the level of corruption, about the way that the government is running on these levels of deficit and inflation. And this president, like our current elected president, Milei, for the last 8 to 10 years, has been becoming like first a public person, like an economist, that started kind of like to lecture a country about like what is happening, like why do we have this economy, how and try to explain or give a view about how to fix it. It is very theatrical person, I will say, and he managed to hit a chord on people, and to have hopes for a different model and a different system that will and different policies that could bring the country back to growth. So to have spend less on politics, spend less on politicians and the government, reduce the size of the government, and his campaign, which is very weird for the world, is like on making cuts. The entire campaign was on making cuts. One of the mascots in the in the campaign is like a chainsaw, and like to he was very clear on the program. He saw himself as not as a politician, as an outsider, that with no experience, and he was able to capitalize on that because he was able to capitalize on that because people is tired of politicians, and they wanted a change, and they wanted to. He talked a lot about the casta, a segment of the population just dedicated to live from the government, and then he will eliminate that. And so I think that he was able. He was portrayed as an extremist, but like it's clear that the country needs some like really extreme changes to make it viable again. And outside of and his message has been is striking, has been his message has started to be catch fire in the world. I think he's the first politician that you see him, like memes of him that are translated or in English, and that at least in Twitter it seems, or in crypto Twitter, it seems to have like some echo outside of Argentina, which is it is interesting, like to see.
Well, he definitely does have this very, I guess we'll call it very unorthodox appearance as like a person. Right? He doesn't like, I mean, he doesn't look very presidential. I mean, I say that like respectfully, but like he's, when you first saw him, like, who the heck is this guy? Right.
Yes.
And then
I think that there is an emergence. Like there is part that is very local, like this is very Argentinian case, but it's also I think like it is something that is emerging from the system. You see other politicians across the world that are also like that may align with Milei more, and then maybe they are not the most presidential, like in the traditional sense. And then I don't know. I think he aligns a lot with Trump or Bolsonaro in Brazil, and and I think it's part of the positioning of themselves as outsiders, because and something that I think like traditional politicians are not understanding, or that there is a change on language. There is a change on the relationship of how people consume content or media, and how they perceive authenticity. There was a debate before the election in Argentina, and the other candidate that was from the faction that was ruling the country until now. In the debate, I think he went out of the debate. Massa, the other candidate. I imagine that he went out of the debate thinking how well I did in the debate, how well I was able to smash this other guy. It speak much better. Was able to control the pace and the subjects that things were discussed. He basically say nothing. He did not promise anything, or like talk about, was able to not respond to anything that it was happening. And I think like if you look at it from a traditional lenses, you will say yes, like Massa won the debate, but I think the population noticed him as a professional politician. Like the entire positioning of him out from the outfit, looks, and the way that he talk, and the way that he managed the stage, I think like what ended up happening is like he portrayed himself like what has been politics for the last 20 years. And Milei was not able to dominate the stage. Has not the best, he has his own look, and but look very authentic. And he did propose things, and he did say what he was going to do, and don't talk about a program. You can agree on it or not, but I think like the population saw it as something authentic, and that I think is something that is more is the key to this age, and younger people are a lot more receptive of things that are more authentic.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, he definitely does come across as authentic, and he comes across as like he's not just putting on a show for the camera. Like he's not trying to be this. He doesn't have like a bunch of political consultants telling him what to say and how to dress and whatever. He's doing his own thing, right?
Yes.
And he definitely comes across as. I mean, I found a lot of similarities to him and Bolsonaro in Brazil, in the sense that they're they're very like loose-lipped, right? They kind of say things that they shouldn't be saying according to the experts, so to speak.
Yeah, no filter.
No filter. I mean, they shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, it's very sort of Trumpian, I guess. Bolsonaro, they call them like Trumpinho. Maybe Milei is now Trumpito, or I don't know what if there's. I'm not sure how far like the Trump references go, but there's definitely is this sort of authenticity vibe.
They're all definitely different, but you can see the similarities, and I think that similarity is an emergence of the system. So he's definitely the way that he communicates is also more in line with the way that we consume media now and content. His erupts and like this way of communicating is very easy to make memes out of what he talks. So people, you can cut what he's saying, and this abrupt that he has, and like the way that these things that he says with no filter make really good content for social media that can become very viral. And he did a very cheap campaign. Like he did a campaign that had very little investment compared to his opponent that spent like, the estimate is that the current government spent between 3 and 5% of the GDP in the campaign.
Oh wow.
It is like it is.
Wow.
They really put everything to try to win.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Well,
something.
I guess
Who knows
the other thing
there is another one that was more expensive than this one.
Campaign. Yeah, exactly. And just the fact that how they spent that much and then they ended up losing so badly. I mean, that was the shocking part to me when I saw the final results, where it was on Sunday night. I was looking at this, and then Massa had conceded before the official results were even in, and it was. I mean, Milei just destroyed him. It wasn't even close, right? I think it was the biggest margin of victory in like 50, 60 years or something. Mm-hmm. And this was after he only had 30% in the first round of votes, right? So he had to go to a second round, and I think Massa had 37% and Milei had 30%, and then Massa ends up in the final poll with 55 versus 45. So obviously, like a lot of those people that were voting for these like other parties, when they had to choose between Massa or Milei, they chose Milei. Yeah. What do you think it was that caused all those independent, we'll call them independent voters in this case, but like why did they all go to Milei instead of to Massa? What was the factor there?
I think it was very clear to the population that choosing Massa was continuation of the decline. It had no faith in that he will improve the economy or make actual changes, and that politics will continue to be the same politics. The spending will be still be there, and I think like most people, I feel like there is people that really, like 30% of the population was more aligned with Milei, and the rest, I think that they voted on a question mark, on like, we'll see what happens. I know this other path will take us into the decline and like the same mediocre results, and like it will have hyperinflation, and things will continue to get worse and worse. And I think for a lot of big percent of the population, that was the case. And I think like people voted with hope that things will get a little better, and that's the thing. Like that's, I know there is some percent that has converted into these ideas of capitalism and a libertarian view, but then there is another big percent that is just on hope that things will get better.
Got it.
And voting for a question mark and see what happens.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it can't get any worse. So like, why not just take a shot with this guy and see what happens? Yes.
Yeah, see what happens. Let's see. At least it's gonna be entertaining. Entertaining.
Right. Yeah. At least we'll get some good social media content out of it. Right.
Yes.
So let's dive into the Bitcoin connection here. So we were kind of chatting about this before we started recording, but obviously the Bitcoin crypto world has been like very fascinated by this guy Milei. He obviously holds a lot of libertarian values that that you find quite often, particularly in the Bitcoin world. He's very, he has very strong criticisms of central banking and things of that nature. But he hasn't really said like all these. He said a few things about Bitcoin that are, I mean, I found one thing that he actually said, and maybe I haven't found everything, but I've only was able to find like one thing he actually said. And then I found lots of articles of other people writing about the one thing that he said, but I was only able to find like one thing he actually said about Bitcoin. So let's help us understand like what is the actual connection here with Milei and Bitcoin, and like how should we be interpreting this? Some of this hype that the crypto Bitcoin world has attributed to this election.
Yeah. So I think like the first part is like the biggest connection that you mentioned. Like he shares a lot of the values of the ethos of Bitcoin and a lot of the values of the Bitcoin community, and which are freedom, distrust from the state. He is a libertarian and anarcho-capitalist, but he's not a Bitcoiner. He's not a pro-Bitcoin guy. He has a few mentions about Bitcoin. I think he did study it, but has his reserves about it. And the thing that he does believe is as his highest value is freedom. I think he connects with Bitcoin from a place where like he will ensure that people have the right to use it, and that they can choose to use it and protect protect their freedom to choose in what currency they want to transact, in what unit of economics they want to set contracts, and let the market choose what to use. So I think it's gonna be good for Bitcoin, and it's gonna be good for crypto in general, because he's gonna protect the right to use whatever payment method or system or currency you want to make commerce, which is different from promoting it. I don't think he's going to be a promoter of Bitcoin. He's not going to be close to Bukele and convert Bitcoin in legal tender, for example, and force people to have to accept it as a form of payment, or any crypto. And I think like he believes that the Argentinian population has chosen the dollar as the currency of their choice, and that's why he's pushing for dollarizing the economy, because he thinks that the economy is already dollarized, that the Argentinians already choose to set prices and save in dollars, and if if people choose to use crypto, let them choose to use crypto. And the few times that he has mentioned Bitcoin, it has been around that. It has been about the private sector on the issues that fiat currencies have, trying to find a solution. And as a reaction of how bad are performing fiat currencies and how bad they're solving monetary issues, the private sector started to develop a solution, and that's how he sees the appearance of Bitcoin, and that is something that I think is interesting to him. And this is an speculation, but I also think that he has some worries about digital currencies, all digital currencies, like decentralized, centralized, open, closed. I think he has some worries about the privacy of transactions on the digital realm, and I think that is one of his main worries that he has with these technologies. I don't think he will do a CDBC or push for the creation of Argentinian digital currency or anything like that, because I think he has worries about privacy on online payment methods. Anyway, which is something that I think like is a real concern. But we will see how also things develop, because now there is a lot of people trying to talk about crypto to him, and like there is a lot of people around the world that see this as a point of development and grow and growth of crypto around the world. And I think like maybe we with work we can show the benefits of crypto and Bitcoin and decentralized systems.
Got it. So it's fair to say that he's not necessarily pro Bitcoin, but he's just he's like the overlap between his worldview and like the Bitcoiner worldview is almost like 100%. Like it's basically, it's like maybe like 99%.
It's very close.
Like
it's very close.
Right? Yeah. And because of
maybe the point where we don't overlap is that the trust on the US dollar. I think he has a lot of trust in the US and in the dollar, and I think like Bitcoiners don't. and I think that is where it doesn't overlap. But we'll see how things develop too.
But then to your last point as well, the fact that he is so ideologically aligned with the values of the Bitcoin and crypto communities means that obviously he's become like this celebrity in Bitcoin land, whether he likes it or not, right? So after he won, I mean, you had like Michael Saylor's tweeting at him, congratulating him, like Balaji, like Ryan Selkis, all these people, these Bitcoin or crypto sort of figurehead type people are all, congratulating him, calling him the Bitcoin. I think Balaji had a tweet saying like the second Bitcoin president or something. So
Yes.
he's obviously becoming like a celebrity of sorts. Yeah. And, obviously, I think just the alignment of values would mean that he's going to be receptive to what people in the Bitcoin community might propose to him or lobby to him or whatever. Maybe this is a good point to kind of move ahead to like, what can we realistically expect out of his administration here, particularly as it relates to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency adoption in general. I know he doesn't necessarily have the most favorable within the Congress, the Argentina Congress. There's not. I think the opposition parties are still in control of like the chambers of the Congress. So there's not a whole lot of legislative maneuvering he can do. But maybe kind of give us like an outlook on what can we realistically expect here out of him.
So he does not have control of the chambers, but if he's able to make an alliance with the other central right party, which is called PRO, together they do get into a majority. So if he's able to force a coalition, which is going to be interesting to see, because it's not a coalition that won. It is his individual party, so he has a lot of power into setting his own agenda. This is a first in a long time. Like Peronism has ruled not making alliances or coalitions. This populist party that has been ruling. But the few times in the last decades where that he was not in power, the opposition was a coalition of a lot of voices. So this is a very particular development in like we have one party that won on its own, and it doesn't have a lot of voices, conflicting voices. So that's one of the bright sides, and he can make a lot of changes through executive orders, the equivalent to executive orders in the US. And there are like things that he can do without needing to pass laws to change things, and there are things that it's likely not going to be able to change the law for that things. One of them is, for example, for crypto, is that the central bank issue several restrictions about the offer of crypto in financial services companies like banks and fintechs. So if you have if you're a bank today in Argentina, or if you're a PSP, a payment service provider, you cannot offer crypto to your clients, to your users, and that was a restriction that was issued last year after a bank tried to offer crypto, and recently the largest, and there was another restriction very similar to ban the largest fintech not to do it too. And I think that is something that can be easily changed, and is likely to be changed very soon after he gets elected. That will be the most likely thing to happen. That there are restrictions that today exist, that the president through regulatory bodies he can change. So that will be one of the first things that can change. So banks and fintechs could start offering stablecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, stablecoins to their users. So that is likely the first development that we will see. That has a lot of chances of happening. He also wants to change a lot of taxes and reduce taxes, and there are taxes that are impacting transacting in crypto. We'll see if that changes. So and then later on we will see what really does it means to, like, he wants to destroy the central bank. Likely he's not gonna be able to do that. Yeah, likely he's gonna he's gonna close the part of the central bank that issues currency, but it's likely there's gonna be a regulatory body for payment systems. Like you need to have like some control of banks and fintechs, and have some ways to protect the market too, and that is not likely to disappear. Maybe change its name, but once that happens, it's also gonna be like it's gonna be interesting to see what does it mean to dollarized economy, how the payment systems are going to work. Is it crypto gonna be accepted, like converted into like an official payment method that can be accepted as equal to be paying with legal tender, and that are the developments that we'll see if they happen.
Got it. How is this affecting your business, Ripio specifically? Like, how is this? How do you see this impacting like your operations, your marketing, the amount of demand that you see? I know you guys are doing a lot of stablecoin volume right now. How are you guys kind of processing all of this? Like, what might this mean for the future of your business in Argentina?
So over the last few months, like with all the devaluation of the currency and the inflation, we have had a lot of growth in our volume. And we recently launched our own stablecoin. It's called UXD, crypto dollar UXD, and it's really meant for Latin America and building up an ecosystem around it. And we have 80% of our volume has been trading of stablecoins over the last year. Some of the things that have become like very interesting is that crypto is very deep into the culture now. And crypto is 24/7. So in every one of these elections dates, which are on Sundays, there is no market. Like the traditional market is closed on Sundays. So you cannot see what is going to be the impact on the exchange rate to dollars. So the reference has become crypto dollar, and you will see in the in TV shows, in social media, in all media, you will see on Sundays 6 p.m. people will start to look and to talk about what is the exchange, like what is the rate for crypto dollar, and it has become a reference, and I think like big percent of the population knows about what it is, and it has become part of culture and an accepted reference for the price of dollar, and not to have to wait until Monday 11 a.m., which is when the stock exchange opens, to see how the financial dollar has been impacted by the last regulation or the last vote. So until yesterday, for example, on Monday it was a holiday in Argentina, so there was no reference of the exchange rate until Tuesday. So on Sunday and Monday, the value of the dollar exchange rate was the crypto dollar exchange rate, and it was in all media as a reference. So that has become like really, really, really important. Other things that we have done is like we have built up features that are meant for this like inflationary context. For example, we have a feature it's enabled by default in Argentina, which is auto conversion. Like you have your own. We issue the equivalent to a bank account number per user, and when you transfer to your bank to your account, as soon as pesos arrive, we auto convert that into crypto dollars, so that you don't even need to open the application to do that swap or that conversion. And that is something that maybe in other countries you will not do. You will want to have the control on in which moment you want to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, and you want to do the action manually. But in a high inflation context, like the most common thing that you're going to do is like you're going to transfer pesos into the account, open it, and convert immediately. So we build this feature to save that step to the user. So you just transfer into your account and it gets automatically swapped.
Oh, that's super interesting. That's super. So it's like, yeah, because the name of the game is like you want to get out of the peso into dollar peg stablecoins as fast as possible. So just have an automatic feature. As soon as it touches your account, it converts automatically.
Yeah. So that is something that you will not do in Brazil, or you will not do in another more stable country. Like the user will most likely want to have control of the moment that they want to do the conversion and to another asset. But in an inflationary context, you want to do it immediately. So we build like these features. Another one is that we have our own card, like we have our Ripio card, and then you can use the card associated with the stables and with crypto dollar, and then every time that you make a payment, then at the moment of the payment you do the conversion to pesos. So that way you can be on stables and just convert on the moment of payment. This is the card. So you see it. But so these are all features that we built for ways to protect the user, basically.
Amazing.
And be able to be less exposed to inflation and the devaluation of the currency.
That's super interesting. And one of these days, I need to make a trip down to Argentina to actually see some of these things in action. I confess I haven't actually been there yet, even though I'm living in this part of the world. So I need to go experience some of this stuff myself here.
Well, now it's very cheap. So like for a foreign, like the exchange rate is very favorable. So
it's a good time. Okay, I'll get that trip on the calendar here. And maybe the final question here, and we'll kind of flip the script on this one a little bit. And I've heard some people arguing, I actually have a friend, a coworker who's from Argentina, and she doesn't like, she's like a Bitcoiner, but she doesn't like Milei because she's like, oh, he wants to dollarize, and the dollarization is sort of like, it's like the worst thing you can do for Bitcoin is to dollarize. And anyway, there's some people that are pro Bitcoin that aren't really like huge Milei fans, I guess. And in your opinion, what might be, I guess just to finish the question, what might be a scenario in which Milei, some of these things that Milei wants to do might be bad for Bitcoin or bad for just freedom in general in the country? What would be, let's kind of argue this the other way. How could this maybe not turn out the way that the Michael Saylors and the Balajis on Twitter are hoping it might?
I think I also don't think dollarizing is a good idea. It might be better to continue what is happening with the peso. So it must continue with the same monetary policy. It will be worse than dollarizing. So comparing to what we currently have, it will be better to dollarize than continue the same path. But that doesn't mean there are other paths that are better. And I think there is loss of control on the monetary policy that you better try to have. Like the US controls their monetary policy and their fiscal policy in favor of the US. They are not thinking about the world. It's not their mandate. Like when the Fed makes a meeting and they are choosing to increase or lower the interest rates and the yield of the dollar, they're not doing it thinking in the world or emerging markets. They're doing what is best for the US economy, which is their mandate. And then if you make your country use the currency of another country, then you're gonna be tied to the monetary policy of a different country that could not be like at some point could be beneficial, but in some other points will not, and it removes control and flexibility of setting your own monetary policy. So from that standpoint, I would rather have like something better, and trying to think like a better currency. At some point, I proposed to him to make a new cryptocurrency that we issue in Argentina, and that is controlled by smart contracts, and that it has a monetary policy set in code, but built for Argentina with its own governance mechanism. But anyway, like then, so I think that there is something we could do something better than just defaulting to dollars. If that is going to increase or reduce the adoption of crypto, I'm not necessarily sure if that is going to be the case. From a perspective, I'd rather have the country doing better than like having more or less adoption of crypto. But there is a lot of benefits that cryptocurrency has that are completely global. They're instant. They move at the speed of internet, and they're completely global in access. So I think like it's gonna be like even if there is no inflation, and the economy is under control, the dollar is also not in the best spot ever. They also have huge deficits, and like it has like a similar monetary policy of Argentina, but with a big military arm, and being the world reserve currency, which lets them abuse it a lot more than that Argentinians can. But that doesn't mean that will continue to be forever. So I think like Bitcoin is going to continue to grow and have more adoption, and people can make the same questions that they do about the peso to the dollar, and will continue to have adoption. If the only thing that Milei does for crypto is to protecting the right to own it and buy it and trade it, that I think that's way enough. Like the rest will construct value.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like the almost paradoxical in the sense, like the best thing he can do for Bitcoin is basically nothing, right? Like just right.
Well, it's not
just
nothing.
let it.
Like let it be. Let people have the freedom to use it, and that's it. That's all we need, I think. Like the rest, it has to be optional.
Yeah, the private sector can take. The private sector can take care of the rest. Let the market decide. Let people decide how they want to store their value, how they want to transact, what units they want, what unit of account they want their transactions or their savings denominated in, et cetera, et cetera. So, well, Sebastian, really appreciate your time here today. Appreciate you coming on the show. And normally this is a Brazil-focused podcast, but important events down south, so we wanted to.
It will definitely affect entire Latin America.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll leave it to you for any final thoughts, anything else you want to mention. And then how can folks get in touch if they want to learn more about you or Ripio?
They can follow us on Twitter. My handle is Serrano44, and you can find me in every social media with the same handle. And Ripio in social media is Ripio App. And we also offer, like, our second country is Brazil. We also offer a lot of services here, and a lot of our focus is into grow in Brazil. So we can also talk about Brazilian things. I do think, like, in the development of crypto, Brazil doesn't have like the context of Argentina, but the freedom and like the innovation from the regulators are also pushing adoption. Like you see a central bank that is very very educated on crypto and on smart contracts, and like building like a digital real that is also compatible with crypto, that is unique in the world. So I think our region is poised to have a lot of innovation in this industry, and it might even supersede in development to other countries like even the US, which is being extremely aggressive to the industry, and that can be like a way for us to advance faster. So I'm very bullish. I'm very bullish to the region and crypto. I think we have some really good years ahead for us.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, we'll have to have you on again sometime to talk more about what you guys are doing in Brazil specifically. But wanted to take this opportunity to get kind of a download from you on the Argentina situation and what's happening there. So really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing some of your opinions and your insights here.
My pleasure.
So amazing. So thanks, Sebastian.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode.